Ohio for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, and Mr. Ware, thank you so much for being here today and for your work. Chairman Williams, thank you for allowing me to wave on to the committee today to ask a few questions. I'm grateful for the work of this committee, and we're trying to have the U.S. be prepared for the next time, if there is a next time, and to do better, and in this case, help small businesses if there is another pandemic in the future. As chairman of that committee, as was mentioned, we're charged with investigating and finding solutions for any waste, fraud, or abuse with pandemic-era relief programs. And essentially, throughout the broad task of this subcommittee, it's an after-action review and lessons learned. Mm-hmm. And so we can create a path forward that does better and look at the things that maybe worked and those that didn't work and be honest with ourselves about that. Because, we're going to have to, for our committee, look at what we hear from our victims, look at what we hear from the committees, from the agencies, hopefully administrators, and definitely from you. So thank you very much for that. When the pandemic hit, no one knew. No one knew what to do. I mean, it's called novel for a reason, right? I mean, and the science and everything else and what was going to do the economy and what we were going to do next, people were often flying blind. And there's no doubt about it. We had to move quickly to help businesses survive. And that was bipartisan agreement, too, that we needed to. It included getting money out the door quickly. But unfortunately, as these things often do, there's an opportunity for people that have nefarious measures in mind. We got fraud and abuse. We don't want that to happen again. So your report acknowledges that the SBA relaxed its internal controls to get money out the door quickly, and that allowed for a lot of this fraud to occur. I don't know that anyone disagrees that the money had to get out the door quickly. I can remember Secretary Mnuchin being pretty much in a panic that we had to do something fast. In your estimation, which of the SBA's relaxed controls contributed most directly, I would say, to these high fraud rates?
Self-certification.
Thank you. I'm on Ways and Means Committee, and that was a debate we had there that was a problem, and we continued that going forward, unfortunately, for some other programs. Moving forward, which of these existing internal controls are easy and effective enough to implement that would enable SBA to get money out the door quickly while still preventing fraud?
So that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
So it is about setting up, first of all, getting rid of self-certification.
Okay.
Having quick verification measures and learning from the hold flags that we established. But having a procedure in place to clear them. Just ask a follow-up question. My biggest thing from in the beginning was ask a follow-up question. You're getting people who normally don't commit fraud. You ask one question, they're gone. They're not coming back to answer a question when they figure you're onto them.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be very, very important.
I appreciate that input. Are there additional controls SBA should implement? And I guess maybe you just answered that. Any others that you can think of?
I'm pretty sure I could get back to you with a list.
Well, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, thank you. For the record, if you would do that.
Yes.
And while most controls deal with risk management, are there any that we could implement to make detecting and more prosecuting fraud easier after the fact? Like you kind of gave me an example where you might sniff somebody out, but in the actual prosecution of the fraud, any suggestions there?
Right. Again, the doing away with self-certification, because once people certify, right, with their documents that this is what it is, it's much easier in terms of prosecution in that regard. It's much more difficult when it's just they could say anything.
Got it. Real quick, there are some things. What safeguards did PPP lenders have against fraud that EIDL did not?
The Bank Secrecy Act is one of them. The Know Your Customer under that was a big deal. The banks, like I said earlier, that we got over 5,000 referrals from the banks, basically gift wrapped. Like these are fraud. Like we know it. We know these people don't have a business. That came quickly.
Real quick, should SBA partner with private sector, do you think?
I think that is what do I call that? That is for
the fraud control I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's difficult for me to answer that question because, you know, me, I provide oversight. I don't want to build their program for them. I can't oversee it then.
But I appreciate it. You know, you're being honest and fair, and thank you very much for your time. Very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to thank our witness today, and I'd like to also say again to Ms. Guzman, we wish she would have been here to account for questions we all had for her. Maybe we can try again, but thank you, Mr. Ware, for being here. Without objection, members have